What's up, guys? Atapark here, and today I want to sit down and I want to rant and ramble for a little bit. So be forewarned, there is no script, there is no outline, there is nothing that I've sat down and kind of hammed out before knocking out this audio portion of this video. Nothing like that. Instead, I wanted to give my most open and honest and real feedback and thought process when it comes to this content. When it comes to this video. And the reason for this is because it is a topic that is incredibly important to me. So last Wednesday, and I'm trying to make sure I give my dates and my times fairly accurately. Last Wednesday, I received a phone call from one of my officers, which is not uncommon. And he said, "Hey, can you get into Discord for a little bit?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, not a problem." So I jump in there, and I have both of my officers sitting in the officer channel. And I'm like, "Hey guys, what's up, what's going on?" Figuring that they were going to say, "Hey, for this mythic boss, we want to try out this strategy," or, "Hey, we need to fine tune this or change that," or whatever. Just talk about the upcoming raid week or the 2 days left for the raid week. And instead, I was greeted by probably the worst news that anyone can get, especially a guild leader. They both said that while they love playing with me, while they love playing with the group, the guild, they feel that the progress that we have made, or lack thereof, we have been stuck 1 out of 7 mythic for a myriad of reasons. We have lost people due to real life issues. We have sat people because of abysmally low performance in whatever role it may be, whether it's ranged or melee DPS or healing. Tanks have been perfectly fine, but the other roles not so much. And because of this and because of some other factors, poor attendance and whatnot, and we'll get into that here in a second. They said, "Hey, we both feel that while we love playing with you, we enjoy you as a person, we enjoy you as a guild leader, the progress is not where we want it to be at. And because of this, we have decided that we, along with a few other people, are going to leave the guild, that we will continue to talk, we will continue to be your friend if you are willing to do so. But at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we are progressing." And it wasn't the news that I had expected to hear. It wasn't the news that I'd ever expected to hear. And my only response, and it's what I had told both of these guys, was, look, I don't want you guys to leave, but at the end of the day, I understand the reasons. I agree with the reasons. I don't agree with the leaving, but I can understand the frustration and the disappointment and the aggravation and whatever you want to call it in pushing you towards this decision. So I don't want you guys to leave, but at the same time, I want you guys to be successful. I want to be successful as a raid in general, as a guild in general. I do want to be successful. And both of them said, "We know, good luck. We'll be around, but we won't be around." And they both left. In fact, when all was said and done, we lost in the neighborhood of 5 to 6 players, somewhere like that, somewhere in that region. And Thursday, I sat down with the remainder of the guild, which we're looking at, anywhere between, let's say, 14 to 18 people. We just lost 5, so let's say 10 people left, 8 to 10 people. Can't do mythics. Can barely do heroics with 8 people. And we sat down, and people thought it was a joke. People thought it was not legit. People thought that, whatever. And during raid time, we said, "Hey, here's the plan." And I laid everything out for the group. I said, these guys left, and here is why. Poor performance for a vast majority of people. an indication that there is no willingness or want to push forward and clear content, an unwillingness or a disinterest in getting better, of improving yourself, a lack of willingness to donate to the guild bank or help out with specific things. Just in general, a total lack of fucks given towards the raid group as a whole. And these are things that we had struggled with from the get-go, things that I've talked to you guys that watch these videos, things to watch out for, things that will doom your guild. And I found myself Thursday in that situation. So we did some Mythic Pluses on Thursday. Throughout the weekend, we did some content. And as I thought about it more and more and more and more, and I got less and less angry about what had happened, and I took time to actually sit down and look inward and reflect and go, okay, what happened? What could have been done? What issues can be fixed? What issues could have been changed? What could have been done to ultimately not get to this situation? And it was yesterday, Sunday night. So we are recording this, I guess technically Tuesday morning, at 1 o'clock in the morning. but I'm sitting there playing the priest, and my Skype lights up. And it is one of the two officers. And begrudgingly, very nervously, I hit, the green, whatever, confirm the call or, accept button or whatever, pick up. And say, hey, what's up? How you doing? I'm good. Whatever. And then after a few minutes, he said, hey, look, I want to talk to you about this stuff. And we spent 5 hours total, I think it was. 4 hours, 5 hours talking about what had happened. And we both, at the end of that 4 to 5 hour session, walked away with a lot more than what I thought was going to happen. So, this guy shared with me, he said, look, here's the deal. You asked me when you were looking for leadership, that you wanted me to give you my straight up opinion, my experience leading in the past, my bluntness, my ability to analyze things. You asked me to provide you feedback. And have I not done just that? And I agreed, absolutely. Probably one of the best things, one of the best choices I had made was promoting this guy. I said, however, the problem is that the majority of the time, let's say 90% of the time, 80% of the time, I gave you advice and you never heeded it. It wasn't even I'll heed it here in a minute. It was I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to not even worry about it. And it was simple things. Simple things like people are doing poor DPS. And we've talked about this in the past. And they are a detriment to the raid. But because they're my friends, or because they've been in the guild for a long time, or because they, because I know that they could get better, or they have potential, I kept them in the raid. Even though they probably should have sat. They most definitely should have sat. I kept them in the raid. Or because I didn't do this or that. And it boiled down to letting people slide on shit that they should not have slid on. Failing to mechanics and just not saying anything. Why are you failing to mechanics? Nobody's calling you out. Nobody's holding you, the individual raiders, something I was supposed to be doing. Nobody was holding these guys accountable. So when they failed to mechanics, when they failed to, getting too many stacks of rot, and we're talking stupid amounts of stacks. Or they're not getting rod at the right time or infested mind on Mythic Nithendra. Or, whatever. Not getting hit by Ursoc, or, not being in for Roaring Cacophony, or whatever the mechanic might be. I let it slide. And we've talked about this on the channel, of not doing that. And, one of the things that he had said was, if that shit changed, I would be back in a heartbeat. And in my heart, I knew it needed to change. And at the end of that 4 or 5 hour conversation, one of my officers came back. He said, I feel terrible for doing this. I didn't want to do this, but at the end of the day, there were 3 ways this could have gone down. And this was during this conversation, we're talking about this. Option A was, I blow up on you. We fight it out. We fight it out, and it's not good. We ruin a friendship. I'm a stubborn guy. He's a stubborn guy. He gets loud. He gets angry. I get loud. I get angry. Nobody wins. Option B is he leaves. He never talks. Whatever. He gets into another guild, forms a new guild, does his thing. Or option C is he slams into me a lesson and comes back to see, have I actually learned it? Or when all is said and done, am I hopeless? And he said, I think we've learned a lesson today. And I agreed, and I do agree. He came back, and I told him, I expect you, because I will give you my word, to hold me to this. That the mistakes that we made, the not heeding advice, the not pushing people, the not letting things slide, won't happen. That we got some cleanup to do, but we know where we want to be at. And it feels right. People in the guild might be frustrated, people might be pissed off, but at the end of the day, what I need and what my guild needs, and maybe you are in this same situation, is an outstanding group of leaders that are ready to lead, that are ready to support. The thing about leadership is, it's not just about being in charge. And hopefully you guys that are watching this content understand that it's not just about telling people what to do. It's not about giving orders and having people, jump at your every command. It's about kind of planting the seeds of things and seeing what they grow into. And sometimes it sucks. Sometimes shit happens and it's not going to be good. And sometimes it's pretty decent. And I had to make a choice last night of, do I not let this guy in for my pride? Do I not let this guy in because whatever? Or do I heed the fact that ultimately when it comes to this, I was in the wrong. I asked him to provide feedback, and then when he did provide that feedback, I never listened to it. I never worried about it. I never took his advice. And people, because of that, are frustrated for carrying people, for wiping over and over again because you don't understand mechanics when you could have been replaced. In sitting there because, we could pug maybe 2-3 DPS and kill it, but we're not. Things like that. And I realized that, holy shit, while the failure on mechanics wasn't my fault, while the DPS being low wasn't my fault, while the healing being low wasn't my fault. And don't get me wrong, my group is an amazing group. I'm not saying that 99% of the people there are shit players. I'm not saying that at all. But, none of these things inherently are my fault. However, with that being said, letting those people stick around is my fault. It's not my fault that you can only pull 100k DPS. It is my fault if I'm letting you stick around when I know that your class, your gear level, your spec, what have you, can pull X amount, because I can pull up the logs and I know the numbers. I'm able to look at the numbers instantly. You give me less than 30 seconds, I can tell you, based on your gear, where you should be at and where your peers, 2 or 3 item levels different than you, up or down, where they're at. And I can compare it and go, here is why this is going on. This is why that guy is way better than you. This is why, you are failing to mechanics. I can do that stuff. But it doesn't matter, because I can look at it and I can go, player X, your DPS is low. You should be pulling 200k more. Let's go ahead and put another attempt in on this boss. And that didn't get us anywhere. And at the end of the day, that's my fault. So, what is the end resolution here? For the one guy, the agreement is, as long as I don't go back to what we refer to as the Hellfire Citadel bus, which is that mentality of not giving a fuck, that mentality of letting shit slide, that mentality of it's okay to be late, it's okay to not pre-pot, it's okay to not pot correctly, it's okay to accidentally do things even though you've been told 20 times not to do them. It's okay to not know a boss fight. It's okay to leave early and back talk and call out shit when you don't need to. And that was the bus that I jumped on. That was the road I was going down. As long as that doesn't happen, this guy said he will support me in every breath that he takes. My other officer, he messaged me. We talked for a little bit. Frustrated as I was, he and I talked, I think Saturday, maybe Friday. And he mentioned to me, maybe you just need to give up on the guild leading thing. Maybe your legacy is done. Nah, it ain't done. Sorry, it's not done. Not for a while. And he is looking to move on to bigger and better things. He's looking to move on to a guild that is, far more hardcore than what we are. Far more hardcore, far more progressed. And he thinks he has a good chance of getting there. And that's awesome. It sucks for us, but at the same time, if his heart isn't here with us, then it's a lost cause from the get-go. What's the point of pushing him to do better? What's the point of pushing him to become, part of my community and my group when he knows and that he can be somewhere else and he wants to be somewhere else? So with all that being said, at the end of the day, I'm going to keep pushing on, because that's what my guild deserves. So hopefully you guys like what I'm saying here. If you do, give this video a like. If you want to hear more stuff like this, absolutely hit that subscribe button. Until next time, guys, I'll see you.